Hello students, this is part 3 of chapter soil lesson 12. So in the previous part, that was part 2, we ended the chapter in the layers of soil. Here now today we are going to study about soil erosion, agents of soil erosion and the methods of soil conservation. Now as we studied in the previous part that the top layer of the soil is the most fertile layer of the soil and all plants grow there. But there is one hindrance there, that the top layer of soil sometimes get washed away due to some natural sources, and this washing away or the carrying away of the top soil is called soil erosion. Here it is mentioned, top soil is carried away by wind, water and other element, and this process is called soil erosion. Now what happens when this soil erosion takes place? Of course, when the top layer of soil will be washed away or carried away, that means the fertility of the soil is removed, and when there will be no fertility, the soil is infertile, and then what will be there? The crops will not grow properly, the yield of the crop will be less, and farmers will suffer. From where we will get the food? So it is very necessary that we maintain the fertility of the soil and we don't let the soil get eroded. So here we see, what are the agents of soil erosion? Soil erosions occur due to wind, water and human activities, that is deforestation, overgrazing and plowing of hills. Now one by one we will come across it and I will explain you how these agents of soil erosion causes soil erosion. For example, the wind. Let us take wind. How this wind causes soil erosion? Like suppose there is a field and the wind is blowing very fast. Many times you would have seen when the wind blows, it also blows the soil from the land. Dhool bhari aandhi. All the soil is carried away with the wind. So in that place where the soil was, those soil is carried away somewhere else. That land will remain infertile because the top layer of fertile layer of soil is washed away, blown away. So that becomes infertile. So this is one of the way of soil erosion which is caused due to wind. Now water. Suppose from a certain area water is flowing very fast. Then what will happen with that flow, with that fast flowing water, the top layer of soil also will be carried away with the water. And that means that place, whatever fertility was there, whatever soil was fertile, that top layer of soil is carried away with the water. So that place remained unfertile. So this is how water causes soil erosion. Now next is human activities also, because we all know that these days we human beings are disturbing our nature so much, and due to our activities we are also resulting in soil erosion. How? By deforestation. Deforestation means cutting down of trees in a vast amount, means lots of cutting down of trees. Now how this cutting down of trees results in soil erosion? You know, the roots of the trees are under the soil. These roots of the trees hold the soil properly and it binds the soil. The roots of the trees bind the soil. So as long as the soil is binded with the root of the tree, that soil doesn't flow with the water or is not blown away with the wind. It remains attached to the root. Once we cut the tree is dead. When the tree is dead, the soil which was connected to the root, that is left loose. The tree is dead, the root is dead and the soil remains loose. When the soil remains loose, it is very easily carried by wind and water and results in soil erosion. Thus, deforestation means cutting down of trees results in soil erosion. Then is overgrazing. Overgrazing is, suppose there is a field and grasses are there. So when the grasses are there, the roots will be there and the roots will be binding the soil. But if suppose I let my cattle overgraze the field, overgraze means the cattle has uprooted the grass. not only it has eaten the grass, but the roots are also taken out due to overgrazing. That means that now the roots are out, so the soil, what will happen to the soil? Again the soil is left loose. When the soil is left loose, again it will be carried away by wind and water very easily. Now next is plowing of hills. When in the hilly areas, because we know hilly areas are sloping areas, we plow the soil. When we plow the soil, that means we have made the soil very loose. When the soil is made loose and when suppose rainfall occurs, the water will flow through the hills, and when the water will flow through the hills, the loose soil will be carried away with the water, and this will result in soil erosion at that place. So now it is very clear to you that soil erosion is when the topsoil is carried away by wind, water and other elements. What are the agents of soil erosion? That is wind, water and human activities like deforestation, overgrazing and plowing of hills. Now, this was all about soil erosion. That is, the fertility of the soil is loose, and when the soil is not fertile, it will not let the crops grow well, and the farmers will suffer, and finally we all will suffer because we get food from the crops which are grown in the field. So it is our responsibility that we conserve the soil. Now what is this soil conservation? Soil conservation means protecting the soil from being eroded. That is, protection of soil against erosion is called soil conservation. Soil ko bachana, that is called soil conservation. Now there are various methods by which we can protect the soil from being eroded, or we can also say there are various methods of soil conservation. What are they? As deforestation causes soil erosion, just opposite of it, afforestation helps in conserving the soil. What does this afforestation means? Afforestation means planting more and more trees. Deforestation here means cutting down of trees, which causes soil erosion. Now, afforestation means planting more and more trees, and it helps in soil conservation. Now again the point is same. When we plant more and more trees, that means more trees, more roots, and the roots will bind the soil with it, and thus it will not allow the soil to run away or to be carried away by wind and water. Thus in this way it helps in soil conservation. Now avoid leaving soil bare. This soil bare means sometimes in the field, like the farmers have grown a crop. Now that crop is harvested, means cut, and the crops are taken. Now the farmer's field remain bare, barren, means khali. Now when the field remains bare and barren, and the wind blows very high, heavy, and the water flows very heavy, then it will very easily carry away the soil, because there are no plants, no roots are binding the soil. So it is better that when the farmers have taken out the harvested the crop, after that, before sowing other set of crop, that time in the middle they can grow some grass in the field, so that the grass roots will bind the soil and protect the soil from being carried away or being eroded. So this is the next point, avoid leaving soil bare. So we will not leave the soil bare, then it will be protected from soil erosion, because no wind and water will carry those soil. Next is terrace farming. This terrace farming is also known as step farming, and this mainly takes place in hilly areas. Now in the hilly region, you will see in the diagram I will show you, in the hilly region, suppose this is the hill, not like this, you will not understand. Suppose this is the hill. Now when water will flow from here, it will very easily carry away the soil and go in the land. So what is done? Here we do the terrace farming. Terrace farming means this area, the steps are made. Like this, steps are formed this way. Now you can see now, when these steps are formed, here the crops are grown. When the water will flow, it will not flow directly down. The water will accumulate here, and the flow will slow down. When the flow will be slowed down, it will not carry the soil down very fast, and thus it will prevent the soil erosion. This is called step farming. Farming in steps. The hill is cut into steps and farming is done, so that the water doesn't carry the soil with it, and thus this process also helps in soil conservation. Then is crop rotation. Again, when we say crop rotation, when we do crop, certain type of crop is grown in the field. That crop absorbs nutrients, certain nutrient from the soil, and makes the soil infertile for the next crop. So if we grow certain other plants which can put some nutrient in the soil, then the fertility of the soil will be maintained. And when the soil is fertile, those type of soils which are fertile, it is not very easily carried away by wind and water. So such soil remains there, and thus this crop rotation helps in soil conservation. Then is wind break. Wind break is generally like tall trees are grown on the bank of the field, from all the four sides, boundaries of the field, the farmer's field. They grow certain tall trees around their farms. Now what happens around their land? What happens when there is heavy wind? The wind is broken down with the help of those trees, and those winds are not able to carry away the soil of the field, because the trees used to take up the wind and doesn't allow the wind to reach the farmer's land where soil is there, and thus it prevents the soil from being eroded. So here we can see what are the methods of soil conservation. Afforestation, that is planting more and more trees. Avoid leaving the soil bare. Terrace farming, that is also called step farming. Crop rotation and wind breaks. So again, these are the notes here. You can copy it down, and also this is given on the WhatsApp. You can refer there also and copy down in your notebook. Thank you, children.